And we are going to, and I am calling the February 9th, 2022 Beaverton Arts Commission meeting to order. So welcome everyone that's joining us. Please note, as this is a public meeting, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Beaverton's website. Minutes are still being taken as well. Please make sure you are muted unless you are an active speaker. For any quick comments, you can hold your space bar to unmute and release the space bar to become muted again. Please be aware of items in your background, which could be offensive or distracting to others. You can select the virtual background in the drop-down list next to the video icon if you wish. For all of our attendees, you can type your questions in the chat feature. All questions will be addressed during the public comment time on the agenda. If you would prefer, you can also click the raise hand button to ask your question directly, and we will make sure to come around to you as soon as we are able to. You are welcome to have open discussions in the chat function at the bottom of your screen, but please be aware that the chat becomes public record. I will be monitoring the chat to the best of my ability, so feel free to let me know if you have any difficulties that I can help you troubleshoot. I have another commissioner joining us. Okay, so I'm going to start with roll call. So please just say present, unmute yourself and say present when I call your name. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Benoit. Oh, you're muted, but I think I saw your mouth moving, so you're present. I see you. Jim Blaich.
Present.
Haleah Blank.
Present.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Bunnell.
Present.
And Commissioner Castillo.
Present.
Commissioner Dahl.
Present.
Commissioner Dunham.
Present.
Commissioner Fagin.
Present.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Present.
Great, thanks. Commissioner Jermany.
Present.
Commissioner Lansberg.
Present.
Commissioner Pike.
Present.
Commissioner Rohr. Okay. Commissioner Silloway.
Present.
Commissioner Trimble.
Present.
Commissioner Wachira. I don't see him. Okay. All right, with that, our next agenda item is council updates. So Councilor Hasan, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can share with us what the council has been working on.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all are just getting, we got some sunshine today, and I will just tell you that that was so nice to see the weather out and about. I'm going to go with just really high level updates. I don't have a ton, but please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. In last night's city council meeting, we discussed a couple different things. The thing that I personally found most interesting that I'm going to share with you and dropping in the chat was our legislative framework. Just to give you some background, in our new form of government, we work with a lobbyist who helps us identify bills and specific advocacy that we want to do in Salem. And so we look at our DEI plan, our climate action plan, and other plans to help inform what legislative bills we want to get after. It's a short session this year, so it's, I think, 35 days, and they try to get as much done as they can, which I think is crazy making. But this year, I believe was shared is the first time we actually incorporated the DEI plan at looking at what bills we wanted to support and get behind, which I was just really excited to hear. So in a moment, I'm going to drop the agenda bill chat, just the agenda bill link in the chat so you can reference it if you have any questions. I think you all know this. I might have shared it last time, and forgive me if I did. We have elections coming up soon. So we've got 4 open seats. So Councilor, I won't say the positions or the names, but we have 4 seats in terms of Councilor Sansusi's seat is is up and he is maxed out. So that seat is going to be open. Councilor Fagin, as you may know, is no longer on council, so his seat is available. Councilor Mitchell's seat is up as well, and I'm not sure whether she's running or not. And that could be some that's another potential open seat. And then Councilor Hartmeyer-Prigg has another election as well. Last time I shared with you some high level on our priorities that we had landed on from our council retreat. We are having a work session on February 22nd, so 2 weeks from now, to hear what the work plan of working towards our priorities look like. So, if you're bored on a Tuesday night, tune in. It's going to be, I'm sure, really great. Just bring some popcorn and hear a little bit more about some of the work that we're trying to get after. This is a really important moment because in this new form of government, once the council has identified priorities for the city manager to work toward, that's really the marching orders for the city manager and staff to go on. And one of the key, it's not a key difference, but it's a difference that I'm starting to get more comfortable talking about is in the past, if we saw an issue, we were like, let's fix it, right? And then we had like the administrative head who was the mayor and we just fixed it, right? This new form of government, the administrative head and the budgetary head is the city manager. Electeds can influence policy work, but not necessarily operational work. And so this for council is important because it helps direct the work that our city staff will be focusing on over the course of the next year. I've said a lot. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. What questions, if any, can I answer for you? I'm not going to mention all the Art Center stuff because I don't want to take it away from anyone else because this is the Arts Commission. So I'm not even talking about the PRCA.
No questions?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Hasan. I appreciate it. All right, well, our next agenda item is approval of our January 2022 meeting minutes. So in review of those minutes, does anybody have any changes that they would like to make or edits that you see?
I saw one at the top.
Okay.
It says Beaverton Arts Commission Board, Wednesday, comma, no date.
Okay.
That's if
Okay.
I'm looking at the right thing.
Anybody else see anything? So with the changes that Commissioner Dunham has recommended, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes from January 2022?
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Ryan, would you like to second?
Second. Yep. Mic issues today, sorry.
That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So approved. Thank you. Okay, so this is exciting. Our next agenda item is elections. So who is going to be our leadership and taking the helm for the next year? And I appreciate you sitting with this for a month. I felt like the timing of bringing new commissioners on board, it's always a little bit tricky to just throw them into elections at their first meeting. So I wanted to give a little bit of space to have folks consider whether that's something that they would be interested in. So I just wanted to say thanks for your patience. And I just wanted to open it up for, I think we should just go ahead and start with nominations for chair. So would anybody like to either self-nominate or nominate another commissioner for the position of chair?
Actually, I'd like to start a little bit of a discussion.
Sure.
So this is Lynn, by the way. Both Ryan and I expressed that we wanted to consider it. And so in doing so, what we ended up calling each other and checking to see how each other sort of felt about that. Both of us are really excited about the Arts Commission. And each of us has some limitations on our time. So one of the things that we thought of was to potentially each do half of the year. We talked to Laura and she confirmed that it's okay to do that. So before we do any nominations or vote or anything, I was hoping that maybe we could just sort of talk about whether people feel comfortable with that, whether you feel like that's a good idea. It's something that the board would be happy with if we actually shared that. So it would be one of us would do kind of the first half of the year and the other would do the second half. And you can see Ryan's reason we're sitting right there in his lap.
Yeah, so I'd really like to nominate Lynn and I to co-chair the commission. I have some pretty tight time restraints here at the beginning of the year, and Lynn has some pretty tight time restraints towards the end of the year, and it seemed to work that way. But it's abnormal, so we just wanted to see if anyone had any objections or any concerns with that kind of idea. So
it's not that abnormal. We've done it before. We've had people who have stepped up to be chair and then they just couldn't meet the commitment. So I, for one, will say I'm completely comfortable if you guys are comfortable with it.
Right.
The only question is, okay, so there will be two chairs and then there's a vice chair. Why not have one be one and the other be the other, depending on whoever's schedule works that way? Because now we're having 3 officers instead of 2. Saying that could work. It could work out.
basically Lynn would start the year and then she'd step back a little bit and then I step forward and kind of take over that position. I just even being vice chair, there's a lot of stuff going on with me early on in the year that I'm not comfortable saying yes, I'm fully committed in the first 2 or 3 months, and so I wouldn't even be able to vice chair basically.
So just to clarify that, one starts off as chair, the other starts off as vice, and then you'd switch.
No.
Okay.
It would be one starts off as chair and then hands off to the other one halfway through the year as chair.
Well,
And there would
why
be
not?
a steady vice chair throughout the whole year. So it's an option. I mean,
Well, I guess it depends if somebody is in line to want to be vice chair. If not, then maybe it's plan B.
Laura, you're muted.
Thank you, Destry. I was just saying that someone has reached out and is interested in stepping up as vice chair. So, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I really want to stay with the chair election first before we move on to vice chair. But there are folks that are interested in serving as vice chair. I personally don't think it's a conflict for to have 2 chairs. I think that having more leadership isn't a bad thing necessarily. I also know that there a lot is coming up in life right now for people. We've had a lot of loss. We've had a lot of life changes. We have parents who are dealing with kids at home and being teachers, and sometimes you just got to take a step back. So to have more people kind of at the ready to help, be the stewards of this commission, I think is not a bad thing. So I will just say, it is your vote, and you will do what you're comfortable with. But for me, I feel like it would be a benefit.
Okay, understanding the full picture, I get it. That works.
I'm fine with it.
Anybody else have Peg?
Yeah, I think if you have people who are interested in doing the chairmanship position, that means you have two leaders who are going to cooperate and I think make things even better. And the vice chair is like leadership in waiting and learning, but we have two people who are ready to step in. It sounds to me like it's, from what I've seen in other organizations, finding somebody who's willing to take on a chairmanship is very difficult. And if we have two, I think we should say thank you.
Commissioner Dunham?
I have a question. Does the leadership team of this particular commission get together for planning meetings and that type of thing? Because I just came from BCCI leadership planning just in time to get here. So the commitment, just to let people know, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we will meet. So the first meeting will be kind of an executive team meeting, a leadership meeting for the commission to kind of look at the next year. What do we want to accomplish? You know, I think we need to gel as a leadership team. And then what we had been doing is meeting once a month to plan for the agenda. And that's an hour meeting. And chair, vice chair, myself are there. Recorder can attend, but it's not necessary to have the recorder attend those meetings if they don't choose to. But yes, we will be meeting, and there is a time commitment. But I think all the candidates that shared interest understand these time commitments.
Thanks. I thought for the interest of the broader group, it was nice to state that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. Any other comments? Rebecca?
Yeah, I don't see any disadvantage to it. And like Peg said, you know, it's really a challenge to find people. To find two amazing people is really terrific. So I'm fully in support of it.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else have comments, concerns? Destry?
I would definitely echo what Rebecca said, and I think we've seen a large shift kind of globally on mental health and knowing your limits and being able to say no or know yourself of what you can do. And in this case, if it's splitting a role, but being able to bring your best self to that role for an agreed upon time that's working together, that is bringing in multiple perspectives even to a leadership position, which I think is really important. I see only benefits to it of having more voices at the table that want to work together and do that and know what they can and can't do.
Thank you. All right, well, and if there are no other, there's no other discussion of this, or nobody else who would like to nominate themselves or another commissioner for chair, I'm going to go ahead and put it to a vote to elect Commissioner Hendricks and Commissioner Anderson as co-chairs of the Arts Commission. So if you can all use your little reaction tool down here and just do like raise your hand if you vote yes for co-chairs Hendricks and Anderson. I'm going to give you guys a minute because I think everybody's still figuring it out.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? I say yes.
So go down to this little bar at the bottom, Jim, and where it says reactions, and there's an option there that says raise hand.
Got it.
Right, so raise hand, but then you'll have to lower your hand just so you know to remove it. All right, I don't see one from Rebecca. or Fyndi or Sue?
So excuse me, I'm new to this voting process.
That's okay.
But also, do I have to vote?
You can abstain.
Abstain, that's what that's called.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to this. I'm just, yes, I'm
Yeah, you can abstain, absolutely.
abstain. Thank you. That's the language. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, we have a majority vote, so I'm going to go ahead and say that we have elected Commissioner Hendricks and Commissioner Anderson as co-chairs for the year 2022. Thank you so much. Yay, I'm so excited to work with you guys.
Yay, thank you.
So moving on to vice chair, I know there is one person who has expressed interest in serving as vice chair. So if you want to go ahead and submit your nomination.
I would like to go ahead and nominate myself for the vice chair position.
Great. And does anybody have any questions? Destry, did you want to say anything else, or does anybody have any discussion items?
I'm really excited to use it as a learning pathway to go forward into the chair position in the future, whatever that may look like. But it's definitely something that I'm eager and passionate about doing and would love the opportunity.
Thank you for stepping up. If you weren't going to
Thanks,
nominate
Destry.
yourself, I was going to nominate you.
Oh, I'm so
Great.
flattered. Wow, thank you.
Yes, me too, Destry.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so I think we're going to try this a different way, since the raised hand is a is a little bit of a trip up. So if you can just unmute yourself and say yay for electing Commissioner Bunnell as vice chair, that would be great.
Yay.
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 Right.
Yay.
All right, any abstentions? Okay. All right, well, Commissioner Bunnell, congratulations. This is going to be a great year, and it's going to be a transformative year. So thank you for being part of that. And our next leadership position is recorder, which I just wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Castillo, who has done an amazingly impeccable, it's sometimes not the most glamorous job, and I think I can just be honest about that, and it's actually like a pretty big time commitment to do them. So you know, I just wanted to say thank you to April for her work in doing that over the past year. And you know, she's ready to turn it over to someone else who has interest in doing that. So does anybody want to nominate someone on the commission or themselves for recorder?
Lovely. I would like to nominate myself for recorder. I think this would be extremely helpful to my journey right now. So yes.
Cool, thank you.
Yay!
And Commissioner Castillo.
I'm not a typing queen, but I know that this will help me improve. It definitely will.
And I'm sure Commissioner Castillo, you're not on camera right now, but I know you're here, and I hope that we could arrange some time to kind of do the handoff with whoever becomes recorder, so you can just kind of show them the ropes, and I can do that too. But I hope that you would be able to just meet briefly to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I figured out some tips that helped myself make it a little bit easier. So yeah, I'd be happy to share that. So I'm excited to pass on the torch. So
yeah, thank you. Great. Thank you. All right. Well, does anybody want to? Anybody else want to nominate themselves to be recorder? I don't hear an
Can
overlap.
I ask a question?
Sure.
Is February 24th recorder training?
I believe so. Yes.
So that's timely.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder, Sharon, because I don't have those dates pulled up in front of me.
It's great. They record it now, so you can go back and look at it. It's nice.
Yeah. One of the silver linings to having everything online is everything's recorded. Okay, well, does everybody feel supportive of having Commissioner Jermany serve as recorder?
Yay, hand.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, Commissioner Jermany, I'm so happy that you have stepped up to take on this role, and I'm going to do my best to make it a smooth process for you, and hopefully we can just kind of get it dialed in so it becomes just something that you do every meeting, kind of comes as second nature. And like I said, in our correspondence, I think you'll learn a lot about the commission in doing this. So thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. We're gonna make progress. Yes, I'm gonna, yes.
Yay. All right, well, those our elections are finished. That's great. We did it. So thank you, everyone, and congratulations to all of our new officers. And I am going to be reaching out to all of you within this next week to organize a meeting between all of us to just do this kind of forecast, look forward to 2022. We're already in it, but like, what do we want to do for the rest of the year? And also begin planning for our retreat sessions, which I'll get to later in the meeting. But with that, I think I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, which is my update. And I'm just going to say, I'm very excited to have somebody else facilitate these meetings, because I feel like I've been talking an awful lot and I'm ready to talk less. But such is life. We're going to get through this meeting. Okay, so I'm going to do the city update first. Also, I did email the city update to you all earlier today, just because there's a lot of information in there, and I feel like it might be something you just want to refer back to. So just know that I've sent it to you in advance. So there's an update to Beaverton's community vision. This is one of the city's guiding tools to help inform city policies. So this is underway. The community vision is a citywide project with input from community members that provides a framework for helping to determine what kind of community we want for the future. The Visioning Advisory Committee is the volunteer group that leads outreach efforts and the primary authors and accountability partners for the plan. The current update consists of outreach to community members, surveys, virtual and live events, and other participation. Goals include involving the city's population in the process, a focus on intentional outreach to traditionally underrepresented groups, being responsive to the changing needs of the community, and developing a final product that will be useful for city council and staff. The original community vision plan was adopted by the city council in 2010. The last update was in 2016, and it included 5 goals and 104 actions, which is a whole lot. Milestones are compiled and shared each year. The 2016 vision realized and inspired many city projects that have been completed or are currently in development. The current update will reflect outcomes that will inform the city's vision in a new and different way. So you can learn more about that at beavertonoregon.gov/vision if you want to get kind of further in depth. The Beaverton City Council election filing is underway. So Beaverton residents interested in running for election to the Beaverton City Council can obtain a candidate's filing handbook. The deadline for filing is Tuesday, March 8th at 5 p.m. Councilor Hasan touched on this already. So there are 4 city council positions elected at large that are open. Councilor positions 1, 2, and 5 will be nominated at the primary election and elected at the general election to serve a 4-year term. At the primary election, the 2 candidates with the most votes for each position will proceed to the general election ballot. If one candidate receives a majority of all votes cast, then that candidate alone is nominated to the general election ballot. The candidate with majority of votes at the general election is elected. Councilor position 3 is vacant due to resignation with 3 years remaining on the unexpired term for this office. Candidates must be over 18 years of age by the election date, a qualified elector of the state, and have lived in the city limits 6 months prior to the election date. The candidate's filing handbook with requirements for petition and signatures can be obtained from the city elections office at City Hall. Primary election is May 17th, 2022, and the general election is November 8th, 2022. So tune in to city council meetings for discussions and decisions on important city topics. So this month, the agenda items included include presentations on the Comprehensive School Resource Officer Review, Milliken Way Project, and Downtown Equity Strategy Update. Work sessions include a review of legislative bills, capital improvement plan priorities, and reimbursement districts. The City Council will also review and discuss 2-year strategic goals identified in late 2021, along with a priorities work plan, like Councilor Hasan mentioned. And the upcoming City Council meetings we have left this month are on February 16th and February 22nd. And you can always review agendas and minutes at beavertonoregon.gov/city council. The next one, which is going to be probably a little bit, parking is always such a hot button issue, but I want to make sure to get this out in front of you so you can kind of wrap your head around it, prepare for it, because things are changing in downtown Beaverton. So the Beaver Dam garage, which is the garage by the PRCA, that is going to be a fee-based garage structure. So these fees were approved by the Beaverton Urban Renewal Agency, and they're for the first year of operation. So I think that they'll reevaluate after that first year. So the rates are as follows: 0 to 8 hours is $1 per hour. Over 8 up to 24 hours is a $15 flat rate. And there's a lost ticket fee of $18. There's also a grace period for a 10-minute turnaround. So that's if someone couldn't find a parking space or pulled into the wrong garage, they have that time to kind of get out of there. And a 15-minute grace period after paying for someone to return to their car and exit. So I just wanted to share that information with you, because I know that a lot of you are going to be coming to events at the Reeser in the coming months. So if you want to park there, you'll know exactly what you'll be paying, and you can kind of help us spread the word about that too, with your friends and community, so everybody feels like they know. There's nothing worse than getting to a place and being surprised that you have to pay for parking when you didn't really expect to. So, all right. So, 10 Tiny Dances. It's happening, still planning for it. And the call for artists is open right now. So if you know performers, choreographers that either have participated in the past or are perfectly new to it, kind of anybody you feel like would be a good candidate, let them know about that opportunity. We worked with the city events team. So they're doing a celebration to open City Park Fountain after its recent renovation on May 7th. And we worked with the events team to release a call for artists and performers for that event. So that is live right now. And it's basically hosted the same place where you would see all of our calls, but it's going to be selected by the events team and their staff, but we're working with them on that. So I just wanted to make you aware of that opportunity in the event that performers that would be excited to, do a family-friendly event, open air event, perhaps, roving, maybe off the wall, playful. And we kind of wanted to think outside the box for this one. So if you know someone that fits that bill, let them know about this opportunity. Commissioner Dahl, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have a question?
I'm back to the parking. The car park that used to be by 24-hour fitness, is that going to be a paid lot also?
No, it will not be a paid lot. not to the best of my knowledge. And that's owned by SKB. So I think they sort of do what they want to do, but they, from what I know right now, it will not be a paid structure, at least for the time being. Okay. So Reeser opening events. Who's coming to the ribbon cutting? Did you all get the notice for the ribbon cutting? Yay, March 1st. March 1st, it's a daytime event. And I think it's a fairly, I think a modest audience, I would say it that way. So it'll be from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. It does require an RSVP, and just make sure you you'll understand the vaccine requirements for entering the facility. And it will just, if you kind of come, if you come that day, it'll be at the front door of the Reeser, which is right there on Crescent Street in between Hall and Rose Beachy. And I have the COVID requirements here, but they're changing and they're fluid. So from what I know, the Reeser is just aligning with OHA guidance. So if you can kind of just keep current with OHA, that is what the Reeser will observe. It's a little bit different than what the city is observing. We don't necessarily have a vaccine mandate. We don't check vaccination status. So, I think there's some nuance to that, like events at the Reeser are going to be a bit differently managed than other city events. So we are still tentative for this public artist in conversation event on March 9th. I think it really is hinging on whether the artists from Muse Atelier are able to travel internationally. So I think I'm going to make that call in the next week or so. And I did talk to them about it, and they said, if we can't travel, we can do this event in the future, not too far in the future, but at a time when things kind of calm down, we can do this event. So if it doesn't happen, I don't want anyone to feel heartbroken and like it's the last time that we're ever going to be able to host the artists here to talk about their work, because I feel like there's going to be more opportunities in the future. I think it's maybe a little bit trickier that we have out of state and out of country artists working on this project. So throws a little bit of a wrench in planning for travel for sure. But I will keep you updated as I know. And, once we make the call, I'll just send out an email notice to everyone. Saturday, March 12th is the grand opening gala. That's a ticketed event, Count Basie Orchestra. And then Sunday, March 13th is the Shine a Light community celebration and open house. This is a free event, open to the public, family friendly. There will be, activities going on all day from 11 to 4. It also is our opportunity to celebrate the new public artworks. And so we have designed a art making activity, a dance demo, and then docent tours of the public artworks. And I'm going to go into the sign up for volunteers a little bit later, but there's plenty of opportunity for you to get involved in that. And I think my feeling about that event is that I wanted that to be a very accessible event. And I wanted people to feel comfortable being there. And so we're trying our best to have activities both indoors and outdoors, so that there's a little something for everyone. If we have folks that are not wanting to go indoors, we have children that are not vaccinated, for instance, like it gets a little bit tricky. So I think my interest is making sure that there's programming for all of our audience. It's going to be a little bit interesting because it could go either way weather-wise, but we're going to do our best to. We've got a plan for what to do if there's kind of inclement weather, and we're working all those details out. But we're really excited. I think it's going to be a really fun event. I think we're all going to be pretty exhausted by the end of that week, but it'll be a fun event. So tomorrow's an exciting day. It's going to be another long day for me. 7 a.m. call time because ribbon is on the back of a flatbed truck on Crescent Street as we speak. And the crane is arriving tomorrow morning to crane it into place. So it it was kind of a crazy installation because it was supposed to happen the latter half of February. And then the artist called me and said, oh, there's problems with transport and I'm not going to be able to get it installed before the opening. And I said, no, this cannot happen. And so anyways, they did, I think, some behind the scenes work, and they had this window of opportunity from the 9th to the 11th to install. So it's happening a little bit earlier than we expected, and we're a little bit like trying to play catch up, but everything's in place, looks good for installation tomorrow. And if you can't make it in the morning, maybe come by at night because it should be lit up. It should be illuminated at nighttime, kind of a cool way to see it. So if you want to come tomorrow morning, feel free. Just know that it's an active work site. So I probably will kind of stay on the periphery and let the crane operators and installers do their thing safely. But it is a fun thing to watch. I don't know if any of you have watched an artwork being craned into place, but it's it's kind of pins and needles and super fun to watch. So if you would like to join me, no pressure, no obligation. Just a reminder that yes.
Larry, excuse me, I just wanted to say that I watched, I think several of us watched the Three Rivers piece be installed, and
okay,
it was quite a thrill, I have to say. It was amazing to see them pull that off the flatbed and set it up, and the artist himself was there. He had a big sledgehammer and he was hammering those rods to go into the holes in the bottom. And I mean, I have goosebumps just remembering. It was really quite a thrill.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I was not here for that. So and that was massive. The scale of that piece is larger than ribbon. So yeah.
And what time was this tomorrow, did you say?
7 a.m. is when the crane operators arrive. They said they're going to have it in the air around 8 a.m. So if you don't want to miss the action, get your coffee and get on over to Crescent Street, 8 a.m. Also, it'd just be kind of nice to see everybody's faces in person. And if you can, it would be great to see you. But if not, I'll do. We're hiring a photographer to take photos. We're doing some video so we can share that after the fact too.
There used to be live, you could like link onto some link and see the live building of the Reeser. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you can still do that and see the installation.
I don't know if that's still active. I'll ask tomorrow morning. Okay. I'll ask Skanska tomorrow morning because I think it's a Skanska operation. So I will ask them. It would be really cool to see it on time lapse too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, exciting stuff, lots happening. I just wanted to remind everyone that our grants are open right now. So we have 2 grants that are open that have kind of a finite period, and they close. One closes on the 4th, one closes on the 25th of March, both close in March. We're going to be doing an information session for our grants the last week of February. And hopefully that, because we have made some changes since last year, hopefully we can answer any questions that people may have about our grants. And then we have the 2 grants that are rolling. So anybody can apply at any time of the year. But we'll review applications once per quarter. That's kind of our promise to applicants is at least once per quarter, we're going to review applications. Youth Arts Awards are also open, and the deadline is rapidly approaching on the 18th of February, so the end of next week. And we have tentatively scheduled the review of applications with the committee, which is Commissioner Hendricks, Commissioner Blaich, Commissioner Dunham. So that is the Youth Arts Awards Committee. So we'll be reviewing those applications March 16th, 3 to 5 p.m. And, you know, I think sometimes when we release these calls, they lose a little bit of traction the longer they're open. So if we can revive some of the interest, and we're going to post it on our Arts Friday social media, and I'm going to be emailing the school district contact again, just kind of refresh them like, hey, this is open, because right now we have one application, and I know that there's more students in need than that. So we're just going to do the push. If we don't receive adequate entries, I think we'll probably extend the deadline. So, and we can talk about that with the committee. Robert's Rules of Order books. So some of you have already reached out to me and let me know that you got your book in the mail. Sorry for that, like, mysterious package, mysterious arrival. I didn't know if Beth had sent them to you, to the commissioners that came onto the commission while I was not here. I didn't know she had sent them, so I went ahead and sent them to all the commissioners that are new to me or coming onto the commission this year. And it's really just I mean, it's kind of like, I find it's kind of like a good pocket guide for governance and you know, how to facilitate meetings. And you know, I think you don't put it to memory by any stretch, but have a read over it. It may not be the most riveting, but it actually does make you feel a lot more comfortable in these meetings. So, and we'll be doing a little bit more work with that, and kind of like doing a little bit of like scenario role play, so we can get people comfortable with Robert's Rules of Order. The retreat dates. So after the doodle poll, there were 2 dates that emerged as being the most popular and most able to be attended, but they're not dates that everyone can attend. So I'm just going to throw them out there and just say that I'm hoping that maybe we can find a way to either shift the time so that more people can attend, or you might be able to figure out something in your schedule so that you're able to attend. So the first one would be Wednesday, March 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. That's the time that I set out. And that would be part 1. And then the second one would be Wednesday, April 27th, 4 to 6 p.m. for part 2. So as a general like question for everyone, would it be better? Because I know that there's a number of you that really have a hard time making meetings before a certain time. Would it be better if we shifted it by like an hour later? Does it matter? Or would we have to go really late, like 6? Because the 6 to 8 meetings are a little bit rough.
Can you repeat the times for the 2 dates?
Yeah, it's 4 to 6 p.m. on the 23rd of March and on the 27th of April.
Oh, it's 4 to 6 for both. Okay. Okay, I have to look at my calendar.
Sydney, I saw that you nodded. You were saying that if we shifted it by an hour, it would be better.
Yeah, there's just no way for me to get off work before 5 because I'm usually in trial. So like I'm like actively in court and can't leave.
Okay.
So if it started at 5, I could definitely make that work.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 would be somewhat better for me. I get off work at 4 and I'm in transit. So yeah, 5 would be, 6 is better, but 5's better than 4.
Okay.
Yep,
Just for context, March 23rd is the week of spring break for Beaverton, so people know.
Does that impact? Thank you for mentioning it. I do not have children in school, so sometimes these things are missed on me. So are we okay to do it that week, or would we rather avoid that week altogether if we know that it's spring break?
That week's fine for me. It's, you know,
Okay.
I don't know how many other people have children, but mine are good.
Works for me.
Fine with me.
I have kids and it works for me.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's actually easier for me. So yeah.
I can do the 5 to 7, but not a 6 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah, and the April 27th timeframe actually works better for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about 5:30 to 7:30, just so people have time to get home and grab something to eat?
That's better. Yeah.
5:30 to 7:30. I
That
think
works too.
Destry has a hard time. You're like a
I have fencing practice on Wednesday nights, and I have a private lesson that starts at 6, which I can skip, but regular class starts at 7. So I'd already be it's
I think
if
think
it's like make or break, like I miss it obviously for this, but then missing it multiple times a month repeatedly kind of adds up. And I broke my ankle like a week and a half ago at fencing. So at that point I'll be training for a tournament again. So I kind of need those practices now. Yeah. That's why I keep shifting around. I am in a boot. That's yeah. So that's the only reason, but if it could only be 5:30, like I'm willing to deal with it to whatever the need be.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that we shift from 4 to 6 to 5 to 7 for both of those dates. We have some time to plan for it, so I think that will work. Doesn't go too late into the evening where we're really fried and don't really have our heads in it. So I will send out the calendar invitations for those. I think that they will be virtual, but I'm not 100% sure, because I would love to be able to do something in person. And I think we're just trying to sort out like what we can do. So just know that my priority is that I get like in-person time with you all, and I'll do my best, but bearing in mind kind of how we're observing our meetings with boards and commissions citywide. I want to make sure we're honoring what boards and commissions should be doing. So stay tuned on the location, but I'm going to send out the dates regardless. So be looking for those in your inbox. Okay. My staff liaison updates are complete. The one thing that I wanted to do, so for the Reaser, you all probably received an email from Debbie today, or maybe last night it came to you, with the signups for volunteering at the Reaser Shine a Light event on the 13th. And Debbie is, I'll just say, a little bit like old school with her sign up methods. Like she likes it on paper. She likes, so I have a sheet of paper here, and I have some of you that have already volunteered, but I just wanted to kind of go over the roles and what's happening that day. So we have some need for setup. And that's just kind of like getting the art activity set up, and that activity has been designed to be pretty like low impact and easy to set up, but we'll need a little bit of help with that. And then the art making project, it's inspired by the sculpture, the ribbon, and we're doing hand painted rhythmic gymnastics ribbons. And so that's the activity. It's pretty simple, but super fun. Like I did this one and I was like, it made my day. It made me feel so good. So I like danced around the house with it. Anyways, I feel like if it's not that hard to guide someone in this activity, and we're doing it pretty safely. We're going to have everybody wear gloves, and we're going to space everybody out so they're not, not everybody's on top of each other, like breathing like right next to each other, and just going to try to be mindful about all that. But outside of that, it's pretty simple activity, but we'll need help kind of managing participants. And the docents are going to be, we need 8 docents total. And what we wanted to do is have 2 docents per artwork. There are 4 artworks. so that when people kind of come around, they're kind of touring around the building, that we have docents there to say like, hey, you want to learn more about this artwork? And then, you know, you can tell them about the artwork. And then we'll rotate every hour. So the activities that we're hosting are going to be 4 hours, 11 to 3. So those docents will be at each artwork for an hour, and then they'll switch. So we're going to need 8 volunteers total for that. We've got 3 already. And then we have roamers, which are generally like just kind of roaming around. People need to know about the public art, if they need to know where to go to get to the art making activity, just kind of generally like guiding people, getting them more information if they need it. And we have 2 positions for that. And then just the tear down, which shouldn't be too hefty, but it's always a thing that no one wants to volunteer for, which we always need help with. So, you know, I think I don't necessarily need to pressure you to sign up tonight. You have the sign up sheet. I just wanted to go over those activities with you a little bit more, so you understood what each one was. And then if you wanted to just reach out to Debbie directly to sign up for a spot, that would be great. And I want to make sure that you all know that there's no pressure from me or the city, for that matter, for you to come to in-person events if you are not comfortable. And if you don't want to volunteer, that is okay. So I just want to make sure that you know that. And if you do, great. I can't wait. So that is all I have for volunteer descriptions. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions?
Laura, I had a question about the orientation, if you know, or I can reach out to Debbie.
Sorry,
She said March 10th from in the evening is the orientation. I didn't know if that was virtual or if we had to be somewhere in person.
I think it will be virtual.
Okay.
It's on March 10th, 6 to 7:30. That's what's listed here. Yep. But I don't know entirely yet if it will be in person or virtual.
Okay, I'll ask Debbie. That's fine. Thank you.
I don't know. In some ways, I feel like it's going to be hard if we're going to like show you how to do the art making activity, and that's what you want to do. It's going to be hard to do that virtually. So I will loop back with Debbie and see how we can best facilitate that. And if we do need to do it in person, we'll figure out a way to make that happen. But yeah, the orientation, that's going to be a really full week, and I apologize for that. I just I didn't want to schedule the orientation so far before the event that information wasn't fresh in your head. In terms of learning about the artwork, I wanted that to feel like really like fresh in mind. And so I thought like, okay, well, that week leading up to is probably the right time to do it. And I know that there's a lot going on. So if you feel like we should do it a different time, I'm okay with that. The other thing that I'm planning to ask the artists to do, I'm planning to ask each of the 4 artists to send me like a little short video of them talking about their work and their process. So you can kind of hear it from their mouth. Because I feel like there's, I don't know, I always learn more about art making and artists, you know, their work by hearing it from them directly. So I'm going to see if they have the appetite to do that. I hope so. But I mean, does that date sit well with everyone, or do you feel like it's too much for that week?
It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. All right.
For the art making, for the ribbon position, I don't see that you go to orientation for that. Is that going to be a separate one? It seems there's certain positions that specifically.
Yeah, I think we're going to need an orientation. It's not really that hard, but I think just an overview of the materials and kind of like inspiration, like what, you know, you can tell people. I think that we're going to have some books on hand for people to look at, like if they wanted to look at patterns, like different kinds of patterns that they could use. They can use text. So I think I'm going to recommend that be an in-person training.
Okay, so that'd be at a separate time.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll loop back with you
Cool.
on that. Is that something that you'd be interested in?
100%. And I
Okay.
can pretty much make anything work as far as orientation. I can make it happen.
Okay. Cool. All right. Okay, any other questions? All right, are you tired of me talking yet? Okay.
No, it's been very efficient.
Not at all.
This is the first on-time meeting we've had in a while, so.
Okay, good. Well, my next agenda item was something that I put together that I've actually been meaning to do with you for a while. And I kind of waited because I wanted our new commissioners to be with us before I did this. So what it is basically like an overview of the arts program, like what we do, what our portfolio of programs looks like. And kind of what we are working on for this next year, and then a little bit about our team, our staff, so you can learn more about us. Since we don't really get to see you, I feel like that's been a missing element for me. I'm such a in-person relational that's my personality, and so I wanted to just share a little bit about me and my work, so that you kind of get to know me a little bit better. So I'm going to share my screen. And some of you are going to recognize these photos, and they're going to make you a little bit happy. So at least I think from more festive times. Okay. There we are. I think that was like the 2018 Boards and Commissions dinner, which is something that we typically do, but has been suspended since COVID. So once a year, we usually get together our boards and commissions for a celebration and thank you for their service. It's a blast. And as you can see, this is the photo booth. We were in the spirit. It was a great night. So this is our team. This is me, Laura, Debbie Thompson, Courtney Buckner. This photo, I was trying to find a photo of us from my previous time here. And I was like, I know Debbie has to have a photo of us at one of the concerts. So this is the one that she sent me, which I love dearly, with our vibrant t-shirt. So great memory. So then a little bit about each of our staff and what we do. So Debbie Thompson is our program coordinator. So she coordinates our events and our volunteers. And she also coordinates Beaverton Arts Mix. We call it BAM. She is working on the mural program. She's working on updating our public art webpage on the city website. She's working on a smartphone public art walking map. And then she's been assisting more with public art projects. So working on dedications, plaques, meetings, signage, calls to artists, all that good stuff. But she really historically her position has been very events and volunteer based. And she's kind of branching out from that a little bit as the needs of our program are kind of growing and changing. Courtney Buckner, is our grants and operations specialist. So she's really behind the scenes, and she's amazing. She's also, if you know anything about her, she's a lover of cats and Harry Potter. So she does a lot of our administrative and operations support. So she's like our purchase orders, vendor relations. She processes all of our artist invoices. She does room reservations for meetings. She organizes our travel and our trainings, like professional development. She orders our office supplies. She's really taken a larger role in our grants program administration. That's something that I've encouraged her to do in order to grow in her role. And we have historically had a revolving art exhibition program at City Hall and city facilities, which has been suspended during COVID. And when we reopened City Hall, I want to reboot that program. So Courtney is going to be working on that. I think it's going to look a little bit different than it has in the past. I think we're going to do 4 shows per year. And I think we're going to do a call for proposals for shows. But she'll be doing the coordination on that. She's been working kind of hand in hand with me and the committee on the Youth Arts Awards coordination. And she had been really involved with that in the past when it was with the Beaverton Arts Foundation. So she's got a lot of institutional knowledge on that, and she's been really helpful. And then she's also wanting to step up and take more of an active role in the Creative Impact Workshop series. So she has been hard at work planning for scaling up to a mural workshop that's coming up for Creative Impact. And then me, Laura Becker. I manage all of the Percent for Arts and city initiated public art projects. I do collections care and management, so all of our maintenance, repairs for artwork. I manage our arts grants program. I serve on city committees. So like the Downtown Loop project that's coming up, the placemaking work group. I develop and submit the arts program budget every year, and that goes to City Council for approval. I'm the liaison to this commission, and I hope that I'm here to support you, and you know, let me know if you have needs from me. I build strategic partnerships with other organizations in the city and regionally. I oversee cultural and arts planning for the city, and we have some cultural planning that's coming up in this next year. And I manage program guidelines. I prepare program policies for City Council approval. And then I supervise our 2 regular staff and any temporary employees we have, any consultants we hire. Right now, we don't have any temporary employees or consultants kind of on retainer. And it's a tough budget year, so I don't anticipate having any more staff than what we have currently. Okay, so this is a little bit more about my background. So my work history is really rooted in public art. I kind of started off, I got my bachelor's degree in art history at University of Washington. And then I took a gap year, and then I went to graduate school at Rhode Island School of Design, and I got my master's in museum education. And so I got a job working in a museum back in Washington, in the Seattle area in Bellevue. And while I was working, I was finishing up my thesis. My thesis was on arts programs with incarcerated and hospitalized youth. And so I was really interested in doing work outside the walls of the institution. That was really kind of my, I don't know, that was what resonated with me more. And I wanted to provide more access to the arts. And sometimes the museum can be high barrier for some people. And so that was kind of the focus of my career early on. And so I finished my thesis, and 9/11 happened, and the floor kind of dropped out from underneath me. And it was a moment of kind of reflection. It was pretty early in my career. And I kind of had to ask myself, like, what do I really want to do? I just got laid off, the museum closed, feeling pretty disillusioned. So I went back to kind of work with young people. And then I started working at this place in Seattle called Youngstown Cultural Arts Center, which was a really awesome organization it was an old school that they had renovated and turned into artist live work housing, but then also there were these youth serving organizations that were tenants there. And that's kind of how I landed there, as I was really doing a lot of youth work at the time. And I worked with a woman there who was a public art advocate. She went on to work for For Culture, King County Public Art. And then she called me up one day, and she was like, I really think that because we had worked on a public art project together while we were at Youngstown. She was like, I really think that you need to get a job in public art, and there's a job opening at Washington State Arts Commission. I think you should apply. And so that is how I entered public art. And it was completely by kind of relationships And it was a bit of a winding road, but I think it kind of married a lot of the things I was really interested in. And I just didn't even know that it was a field necessarily when I was in school, or like that it was something that I could have a job in. So my first job in public art was at, they call it ArtsWA, Washington State Arts Commission. So the top left image is our Christmas party. That's our agency at our Christmas party. Middle top is a project that I did with actually a Portland-based artist named Ann Stores. And this was in my hometown of Spokane, Washington at Shadle Park High School. And that's her in the photo. And then on the right, this is a project that I did with some friends actually at Edmonds Community College. So you can't really see a full image of the artwork, but it was a sculptural relief made entirely of Simpson strong ties. So this kind of utilitarian, hard material turned into this like really beautiful faceted sculpture. Lower left is a project that I worked on with Jen Dixon in Seattle. So I went from working at Washington State Arts Commission. I got hired as an artist in residence and project manager for public art for the Seattle Department of Transportation. And so this was a project that I was working on that it was a streetscape improvement project. So we were in the artist studio, and all the pieces that you see kind of laid out on the table are made from recycled street signage. And it became later part of like a much larger installation. Then my hometown came calling. So I was, born and raised in Spokane, and really kind of at a young age, there was not much going on for someone who's creative there. It was a bit of a small town, and I wanted to get the heck out of there. But they came to me and they said, we really need someone to direct our local arts agency, which had recently been moved from city government and had been privatized, so was a nonprofit, but had a contract with the city. So they said, we really need for you to come in and help us manage that. So I went to Spokane. That image is just, I was asked to speak at Gonzaga, which was kind of a career highlight for me. Go Zags. I love Gonzaga. Love the basketball team. And then the lower right-hand side, this was actually a project that I did just before I came back to Beaverton. This was a reciting and conservation project for a sculpture by the late artist Marvin Oliver. And this was at the Children and Family Justice Center, which is up on Capitol Hill in Seattle. And it was a really, it was a tense project because you're dealing with incarcerated youth. And that is, there's just a lot of strong feelings about that. And Marvin had really he's an amazing human, amazing artist, and really was attached to the sculpture. He passed away, while the project was under construction. So, and his artwork that he had been commissioned to create when the structure was built originally back in the 90s, early 90s, so that had to be recited. It had to be pulled off of the site for construction, and it was put in storage. And then we had to find a new spot for it. So I worked to recite it. And then once it was recited, and this was all done in consultation with his wife, Brigitte. And then we hired conservators to do the conservation work. And so that's who you see right there. That's Adam Faw, who I actually worked with at ArtsWA. He's a metals specialist when it comes to conservation. And Corinne Landreau on the right-hand side, she does amazing patina work. So just some of the specialists in the field that I get to work with, that I'm so privileged and honored to work with. Just have learned so much about art in public places over my time doing this work. I'm also not so much these days. I'm just a little bit too busy to do my own work, but at one point in time, I was a practicing artist. My work is really installation-based, immersive installations. So the piece on the left was a live kind of recreation of the painting by Fragonard called The Swing. It was done at a 24-hour outdoor art festival called Smoke Farm. I built everything, the swing, I hung the swing, sewed the costume, like every little bit of it was me. But originally, like when I did it, I'm not a performance artist at all. And when I did it, I was going to get out there and take photos. And then I had a friend who was there performing. She was like, you can't get in that dress and get on that and not do a performance. Come on now. And so it was a growth experience for me, because it was my first kind of first experience with performance, which I really enjoyed. The piece on the right was done. So it's a static image that you see on the right, but it is a floating inner tube island that is suspended in the middle of the Still River. And so it is attached, and you can't see it, but it's attached to an actual like sunken car, and then stabilized with river weights. And the whole intention of this piece was like the pastime there is that people go up there and they float the river, but if they float the river, they miss out on so much that's going on for this festival. And so I wanted to create this experience of floating the river, but being able to go out there, be in community, and then hop right off and like get to the thing that you want to go see. So that was kind of the intention of this artwork. It presented a lot of technical challenges for me, which was really, it was just, I don't know, a huge troubleshooting effort for me, like in terms of like the middle image you see. I had to figure out how to paint this inner tube and have the paint not crack. So I did all this research on inflatable boat paint. But then like having these be pink was such a huge part of the concept that I had to figure out, how do I tint inflatable boat paint? So all these little things that kind of came up for me, problems that I had to solve, was just like very, very fun. And, I do enjoy site specific work. So that's usually where you'll find me. Okay, so back to our program. This is just kind of a general overview of what we do. So our program administers the percent for our program. Percent for art just refers to an ordinance that was created in 1985, which directs 1% of our capital construction costs for projects to be used for public art for that facility or surrounding areas of the facility. And most cities have these percent for art programs. They're pretty commonplace at this point, but I mean, we were pretty early on in percent programs here in Beaverton, which is kind of a cool thing to know. We also manage our arts grants programs. We currently have 4, which are open, as I said. And we also plan and manage public art that's not funded through percent. So sometimes we have funding to do murals, for instance, placemaking. Sometimes we combine funds from our budget with another department's budget and do projects that way. But we're involved with all of the anything that's art related in the city. We've got our hands in. We conduct 2 signature arts events annually, 10 Tiny Dances and BAM. We used to run a concert series, which has not happened. The last year that I was here, we had one big concert, which was called Longest Day of the Year, which is what you see on the right. And I don't know if we'll get back there. I think it's going to be a couple of years before we get back to doing anything of that nature. But it was certainly, that was a highlight for me in my time, and a really cool event. We curate the rotating exhibitions at City Hall. We assist with arts programming at other city events. So sometimes when they're doing city events, they'll approach us and say, like, we want to do, like, we need a band, or we need a performer, or we want to do an art making activity. And that's, I mean, we usually get involved in those cases. And then we foster strategic partnerships with local arts organizations. So one of those was the Creative Impact Workshop Series. So we partnered up with TV Creates and the City of Hillsborough to host, kind of combine funds collaborate on that workshop series. So that was, I mean, I think it's in its third year at this point. And, you know, I mean, it's a kind of hit or miss, what's well attended, what's not, but I would say it's valuable. And I will leave it at that. So public art, we do public art. These are two of our percent for our projects, which you'll, a lot of you are familiar with. Insignia on the left-hand side by Blessing Hancock. This was installed last year at the Beaverton Public Safety Center Plaza. And then the piece on the right, Gather by William Schlau. This is at the Beaver Dam Garage on the north wall. That was installed in 2021. I love this image because it really like gets to the essence of the concept behind this artwork. So the title is Gather. And I think when it was actually being conceived, I don't even know if COVID had begun, but this whole notion of gathering back to like community, back to a space, and the butterflies being drawn to this light, and this light's illuminated at night. It just like gives me chills. Like when I see it during the day, I have a different interpretation of it, but at nighttime, like it's just so powerful, so moving. And this was a tricky one because we had to, this garage was a design conundrum because we had to cover 30% of this surface because it was unarticulated. And design review said, like, you got to treat this wall in a different way. So we had, you know, we challenged the artist to come up with a solution on a pretty tight budget, considering the surface area. So Will did a really a beautiful, beautiful job. Left-hand side, Common Threads by Addie Boswell. That's also at the Beaver Dam Garage. We call it 100% Corner, but it's right there on Rose BG and Crescent. And then on the right, we just installed Puff Rear View Mirror Ball by Muse Atelier. And let me see, this is a static image on the left. So what you can see, it's really misleading because when you see this piece in person, it's just gigantic. The scale of it is just, I'm so impressive. And then it has this companion piece, which are these etchings on the floor. And then I'm going to see if I can play this. You probably won't hear any sound, but at least you'll get the motion. It's a motion activated piece. So when you approach it, it senses you and it'll start to turn. And it's just, I mean, it's so beautiful. So you'll get to see it in person really soon. Okay, next, so our grants program, I mean, our grants program has changed a little bit. So it saw some changes after I left, got kind of simplified, and then I made changes when I got back. So I just wanted to give you a couple examples of some of our grantees. So our Art Lives Here placemaking grant. The two on the left are recipients of that grant. One was Adapt Dance Festival, and that happened in 2019 and was hugely successful. And then Cosign was a project done by the Beaverton Downtown Association, where they did sign improvements to several businesses. And then on the right, this was a group of high school students from ACMA that did a project called Scuba Doo, which was a Shakespeare performance in the parks. So those are just three examples of grantees. You know, we fund anywhere from individual artists to you know, large organizations that need operation support. So we really do have quite a bit of benefit from our grant program. And then one of the things that, like, I mean, some of our projects are, I call them at-large public art. So we did this project, this was actually before my time, called Hello Neighbor. And that's on the left-hand side. And then Forest for the Trees did a whole series of murals throughout downtown Beaverton. And then on the right, we did, this was actually during my time at Beaverton or at the city previously, we did this series called Your Art Moment, which was really intended for emerging artists to get their work out there via social media. And so we put out a call and we paid artists for the license to show their work digitally through social media. And it was not a huge stipend, but it was a little bit, and they got their work out there. And it was I mean, I think if we would have continued it, it would have just got like blown up even more. It was really, really popular. But, you know, I mean, not everything has to be a physical work of art in a physical place. It can be a digital art experience, and that is still public art. Placemaking and city initiatives. So on the left, this was a project we did we did this in collaboration with CDD. So this was called Street Seats, and we hired a design firm to design and build this structure, which is beautiful. And then I worked with students at ACMA to do a whole performance series in the street seat. So it was very much like kind of a busking style performance series. It was delightful, honestly. And I just like, it tickles me like just to think about those young people out there doing their thing. They're so talented, so cool to watch. And then on the right-hand side, this was a mural project. There were fence murals done to improve the Rhine lot, which is, you know, a lot, it's a vacant lot right now. And we needed to do something to kind of like mask it while it was under, you know, while it was a staging area for construction. So we paid Alan Rose, who is a BAM artist actually, to reproduce some of his artworks. I'm going to start getting through these really quickly, you guys, because we are at time almost. So I mentioned these already: signature arts events, 10 Tiny dances, Beaverton Arts Mix. 10 Tiny happens in July. Beaverton Arts Mix happens in October historically, but this year it's going to be September into October. Rotating exhibitions at City Hall. Art support at city events. So we did this event, this activity at Night Market on the left, which was Rangoli, which was like beautiful. And then on the right, this was at Longest Day of the Year. You recognize some of those faces. It was a cool like cyanotype photography workshop that we hosted. These are just two of the workshops that we did for Creative Impact. One was a grant writing for artists workshop. One was building an artist website. Okay, so we have three standing subcommittees at current for the Arts Commission. The first one is public art, and public art meets, I would say, once a month, but maybe not always every month. It just depends on what we have. We review all of our project scopes for % for art projects. Any mural projects coming from the community, we would review and approve those. We would look at our guidelines, our ordinance policies, and it's an active committee. If you're into public art, then it would be a great one for you to participate in, to be involved with. Grants and DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. This is a combined committee. This committee will meet approximately 4 times a year. Each of those meetings will be a little bit longer because we're going to be reviewing grant applications, and then also identifying if there's projects we want to work on for DEI. And then Youth Arts Awards. This is currently happening, but it won't happen all year round. It's just going to happen while that's active, and active kind of while we're getting ready for it, and then while we're hosting applications and reviewing applications. So those are the 3 standing subcommittees that we have. So my role with the BAC, I present public art projects for approval. I provide background and context. I interpret city council, city departments, relevant state and federal laws and policies, exciting stuff. Follow all city policies and processes for purchasing, contracting, budget policies, help to create a climate of collaboration, transparency, and goodwill, and stay informed. I keep you informed about the latest developments in the field, and I stay informed. I'm a lifetime learner, so I'm always trying to stay current and best practice within my field. So this goes a little bit about the ordinance, which I've already touched on. This was an ordinance that was passed in 1985. It desperately needs revamping. So that is something that we are going to tackle head on this year. And so that is, you know, just know that we are going to roll up our sleeves and really get this polished up and working better for us. Because right now it's just, it's kind of obsolete. So public art, artwork placed on public property or on public right of way or on private property visible from public property, and for which the city owns an easement allowing for such placement. Those are all subject to approval by the Arts Commission. So like, let's just say we have somebody who wants to do a mural and it's on a private building and it's visible from the sidewalk. It has to be approved by the Arts Commission. So really all of those proposals will come to the Public Art Committee, and then they'll be shared with the whole commission. So you really are looking at all of the artwork that is happening in the city, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting. This is a little bit more about our guidelines, which I'm not gonna go into too much. Just know that there's the ordinance and there's the guidelines, and ordinance is law. Ordinance is going to have to be adopted by city council, but we have oversight of our guidelines. But I would draft those guidelines directly from the ordinance and any policy in place, but then also in consultation with the Arts Commission. So like I said, you approve our art policies, mural policies, advise city council on arts related policies, percent for our ordinance. You would be involved in art activities at city events, review our grant processes, select grantees and recommend award amounts. And then you're always welcome to send me content for our e-news, which goes out once a month. Typically, sometimes we send them mid-month. But you can just email me anything during the month that you would like to include in our e-news. And then I think I'm going to suspend this, and we can talk a little bit more about this at our retreat, because we are short on time. But quickly, I just wanted to share the arts program budget, and this is like just a basic pie chart. What you're going to see here is that for this year, percent for art expenses is like a giant, like almost whole pie. And that is because we've had such active projects at the Reaser. And that those projects are pretty big budgets. So that takes up quite a bit. Another large expense is our community events and then our grants. But everything else is pretty modest amounts. But I just want to share this with you so you kind of know how our program is funded. And I mean, next year it's going to look a lot different. That pie chart's going to really change because we won't necessarily have the percent for art for capital projects. So this is just an overview of what we've got going on for this year. We've got the Reaser opening, Youth Arts Awards, our arts grants, excuse me, Creative Impact mural workshop that's still to come in April. That's going to be awesome. It's with Portland Street Art Exchange, and the artist is Alex Chiu. And we are going to be launching the Beaverton Billboards Project pilot at City Park Fountain Pump House. So we're going to be doing the scoping, the artist call, and all that's going to come to the Arts Commission. We've got possible placemaking projects in the pipeline. Just kind of depends on what moves forward with our community development department. But they're trying to build this area as the Arts and Innovation District. So anything would be related, anything placemaking would probably be related to that kind of district identity. 10 Tiny Dances, Beaverton Arts Mix, percent for art ordinance revisions, our mural toolkit, our updated webpage. We're always supporting city events. So that's something we do, and it's just coming at us constantly. And then we want to do an updated public art walking map for our public art collection, and then other public artworks or art in public places in Beaverton. So that's kind of our year at a glance, which is a lot. It's kind of getting back to a good clip, and we're going to be returning to a lot of in-person stuff. So there's that. So next, I'm gonna take a breath here. Whew. The last thing that I have is just subcommittee appointments for new commissioners. And I really just did a very brief summary of each of those subcommittees. But I would like to ask for our new commissioners, I would compel you to get involved in a subcommittee. It's not required, but I feel like your experience in this on this commission will be so much more gratifying if you're involved in the subcommittee. So if any of those sound interesting to you, let me know, and we can get you. We also allow for at-large members on our committees. So if there's members of the general public that want to sit on those committees, we can have that. We do still have to publicly notice all of our meetings. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. So we do try to keep our subcommittees to an efficient number, and just be mindful of that. So we have public art, our grants and diversity, equity, inclusion, and then youth arts awards. So if you want to sign up for any of those three, you can just reach out to me. And if I don't hear from you, I probably will knock on your door and just kind of remind you that it's an opportunity and answer any questions that you might have. It's also a great way in a smaller group to get to know some of your other commissioners. So with that, that is all I have for this month, and I'm so ready to not have the mic anymore. So
Laura, that was an amazing overview that you just gave. And number two, I learned more about you tonight than before.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, how do you like sum up a whole career, whole life in just a tiny little presentation? But I wanted to give you guys a taste of kind of where I come from and what I'm bringing to this position, aside from just my huge love for this city, which I have really grown. I kind of landed in and have grown to really love. So
thank you for coming back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Okay, so I think we are a little bit over time, but I just wanted to offer an opportunity for anybody, if you have any announcements or things that you would like to share for the greater good, you can throw them out there.
This is Jayne. I just put a couple things in the chat. One is on the 17th of February, our TVC networking event is going to happen from 5 to 6. And we have Mark Tyndall from Portland Art Museum, who's going to talk about the call for artists that they have coming up for the summer for their rental gallery. And it's an opportunity for you to display your work, and then also people can purchase it or rent it. And so he's going to talk a little more about that. And then La Strada, you all know, is July 17th or 16th and 17th. And we're doing a call for volunteers, performers, art vendors, etc. You can just go to the website I put in the chat and find out where all the applications are if you want to participate.
Nonprofits.
Yes, nonprofits. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question in this chat that I want to address. So Commissioner Blank asked, do the subcommittees refresh each year, or do the current members have the option to shift? You always have the option to shift. And there is no like fixed appointment. You don't have to commit for the full year. I would say like you're going to probably have a better experience if you do commit for a significant period of time. But if you want to learn about the commission, I would say, you have a 3-year appointment, you could pick one per year and really round it out, or just dig in with one of the committees, and then if you become unavailable and you just can't take it on, that's okay to step back to. I would say that's true for anything commission related. So I hope that answers your question. And then the last announcement that I had, I sent this out in an email, but I just wanted to remind everyone, There's a House bill in the legislative session right now, House Bill 4040. So that is, if it passes, we'll direct 50 million in funding for grants that would be administered by Oregon Business Development Department. And it would be specifically for arts and culture organizations in the state of Oregon that have been adversely impacted by COVID. And I think organizations would just have to show that they've experienced hardship. And it's obviously hugely necessary for the arts and culture sector. So I would say, like, if you can read up on that, and if you feel it's at will. If you want to support it, you can, but I would reach out to any of those committee members directly. If you click on that link, it's a live link in that letter. You'll be able to email any of those legislators directly. So does anybody have any questions about that? Like, I don't really know a ton. I just learned about it. Like Nadia said, it's a 35-day session, which is crazy. And usually we get in a van together and we go down to Salem and we talk to our legislators, but that's just not an option this year. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'm happy to answer what I know about it. And if you want to do that after this meeting, that's fine too. But I will say that the vote is happening on the 14th. So that's Monday. So if you feel a little fire underneath you, go, send an email tomorrow. I've heard is that the money is there and it's likely to pass, but it doesn't. I think legislators need to start hearing from Beaverton organizations and artists. Like, we need to start making ourselves known and being a voice at the table. So I would just encourage you all to do it if you feel you'd like to. So.
Oh. Yeah, this is a great question about if someone from this committee wants to give testimony, is it okay to say that we're on the board? It's great.
Yes, it is. Now, I think if you were endorsing like a political candidate in your role as arts commissioner, that's a different story. So some of the stuff, like, it's kind of a case by case scenario, but in this specific instance, no, you can give testimony as an arts commissioner. And I would encourage it. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Okay. If you don't, I've kept you too long. I promise not to do this every time. So next month, Rebecca.
I just threw a thing into the chat about the celebration of creativity that is coming up at the Southminster Presbyterian Church. It's an annual show it's really a good show. I mean, it's not.
I got the postcard. I just got the postcard in the mail today. It looks great.
Yeah, you kind of think of it being a grandma's doily, but it's not. It's really good quality. It's juried and beautiful art, and our own Peg Silloway is in there.
And on the postcard, might I add?
Yeah. So the artist reception is Friday night. I plan to go Friday night. So and
we're gonna be like on the town every night that week. It's just gonna be nonstop.
Woo! Rebecca, you're to get on the party again. I'm so tired of being let's get out.
Rebecca, you're in the show too, aren't you? Rebecca?
No.
Oh, you aren't?
No.
Oh. Well, they missed out.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
Well, thank you for the plug.
I didn't submit. There you go.
Oh, well, then that's their loss too.
Yeah, there you go. My loss.
Can I hop in and just make a suggestion for your next meeting?
Sure.
I want to hear more of your voices. And I know that one of the other commissions, I can't remember which one, like, even if we did intros at the beginning, I don't know who's the chair is running the next meeting. So for you all to think about, like, I'm having this memory of like hearing each person's name and like where they live. I don't know. It's just an idea for you to think about. I feel like I've heard some voices and not others, and just it'd be nice to hear from you all in the next meeting when we all connect again. If there's time, I know that I'm gonna ruin the time thing, but if it's possible, it'd be great to do that.
Nadia, that was at the top of BCCI.
Yes.
Yep. And
It
was lengthy.
Yeah.
It was good.
It's nice. It's hard with Zoom, and I know that, but I think it's important, like as we build the community, especially in this environment. And I know that the retreat's coming, but it's just so nice when we hear each other's voices.
That's a great suggestion. Let's do it. I don't see why we wouldn't. Let's do it.
So we used to do that art share, Laura, remember in the beginning?
Say that again?
We used to do that art share in the beginning of each meeting. We'd go around and talk about what art inspired us during the month.
Yeah. Maybe we need to reinstitute it or something like it.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's something that we can discuss when Chair Anderson, co-chairs Anderson and Hendricks, Vice Chair Bunnell, and Recorder Jermany and I meet. I'm going to be sending out that meeting request, just so you know, or giving some options. And I think meeting structure and our content can be high on that list of what we talk about, because this is your commission. We can do what you want. So expect that, and maybe just some follow-up on the research training, like the volunteer training opportunities. I will loop back on that. So happy to see you all always, and hope everybody is staying healthy, and please stay in touch. I love hearing from you. If any of you email me, it's, I really enjoy hearing from you, and exchanging some messages like, Lynn, I love that you sent that message about Kintsugi. Was so excited to see that. So I love that dialogue. I just, if you see something that inspires you, want to share, just feel free to send it. Oh, I did want to say, so I have the 2022 roster. It's done, but I waited on distributing it because we have our chair or our officers listed on there. So I wanted to make sure that was updated before I send out the roster. The roster includes your personal contact information, but it is internal only. It will only be shared with this group of folks. We don't share it externally at all. So I just want to make sure, like, I protect personal information. Also, if you don't wish to have your address, like if you want something redacted, I'm all for that. Just let me know what you're comfortable with. We use it mostly to stay in touch with each other. So, there's nothing nefarious going on with the roster, but I do want to respect your wishes. So just let me know if you don't want to share your information. And I will be, let me know sooner than later, maybe by the end of the week, because I will be sending out the roster, kind of getting it polished up and then sending it out. So let me know if you want to eliminate any information on there.
Thank you.
Sound good? All right. Well, I'm so excited to have our elections done, and we are just getting rolling into this year. So take care out there, and I'll talk to you all. Oh, if I see you tomorrow morning, are you coming? Who raise your hand if you think you're going to come tomorrow morning to watch the crane.
I'm gonna try. I'm really not a morning person, but I'm really gonna give it my all. So
okay.
How late does it go, Laura?
Well, I was told that they would be finished no later than 10.
Yeah.
I might
so
I wish I could join you, but I can't. I'm booked from 7 a.m. to like 11 or something like that. So
well, you're gonna have a whole
12:30.
lifetime to live with that sculpture. So
I can't wait to see it.
all right. Well,
Really.
I'll be there at 7. So you can find me. I'll be there. And if there's time, maybe we can pop over and get a coffee at Brick House, or just sit there and chat and stare and wonder at this massive crane and beautiful sculpture. It's so shiny. It's so shiny. Like they had it on the flatbed today, and I went over there to take a look at it, and they were like polishing it up with, you know, hand polishing it, and it's like mirrored. It looks like a mirror on one side. It's just going to be stunning. So, yay. All right. Well, I'll talk to you all soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.